not. So I don't know if it would launch it at times. So if you're watching this, then it's going to be boring for a few minutes. It's going to be a little boring if this is recording now because I jumped the gun a little bit there. Go ahead and skip ahead. Just pow, 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 pow. Skip ahead there. About 3, 4, 5 minutes-ish, about 4 minutes. Oh, we will be discussing a couple roster moves by the Lions, if this is recording. And then also I want to talk about, obviously, a player that I want us to target, but probably won't happen. I just think that he would pair well with, was it Terrence Williams, our defensive line coach? I think that would be a nice acquisition. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss that as the time comes. I wonder what this does. What does this do? Oh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. What does that do? Oh. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh, look at me, I'm all dreamy and glamorous and beaming and Dawn and Daku and Sepia and Silver Screen and it's like I'm in that Take On Me video. Alright, there you go. Get that out of here. How do I get this out of here? How do I get this out of here? Go away. There we go. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, I hope that works. And not like them filters. Gotta get this boosted up a little bit. Let's try the old sanding block, huh? There we go. Give us a little elevation. Now it's like we're more right on eye level. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more like we're talking to each other. Give it another minute here and then we'll get rolling. I don't know if it's live. I know I scheduled it for 7:15 and we're still figuring out the kinks. We'll get this here lunch rolling. We'll get this cooking. Somebody hopped in and then bailed out. Whatever. That's cool. It is what it is. Oh man. Cracked the shit out of my back. Oh, there we go. All right. Couple minutes, about one more minute here, and then we'll get the shit show rolling. So you're almost there. You're just hanging out. I appreciate you just hanging out, watching me jibber jabber. If you're just watching afterwards, that's even more awesome on you. I hope the sweet sounds of my voice carry you off into a succulent dream. All right, we'll get rolling here. About 30 seconds, we'll get rolling. Get this lunch mixed up. See what Hat and Boobs made for us here. Bam! We got a little shrimp with some homemade Alfredo sauce, looks like. Because you see, boys, the older you get, the less you can handle things. And although I love Alfredo sauce. I can't really do the heavy cream anymore so much. Kind of messes with my guts. Those of you that were at my buddy's Ryan's bachelor party, yeah, you know what happens if I eat too much cream sauce, too much Alfredo. So she makes this like real nice. It's like a lighter, not really like a heavy cream base, which is kind of nice. So, get yourself one of them ladies that like knows how to make good food that tastes like the food you can't eat anymore. A little turkey bacon action in there. Is that what's going on? A little turkey bacon action. Looks like a little turkey bacon action. I don't eat pork, so been eating a whole lot of turkey bacon the past couple of years here. So, well, we're after the 7:15 mark, so I guess we might as well get into it. Just talking to nobody for now, but hey, that's neither here nor there. This is more so you guys can watch afterwards. If the chat pops off, the chat pops off. We had a good time the other night. But we are going to be a little bit more condensed than that hour-long live stream that we had the other night, mostly because I'm a little backed up with work here. Got a couple things I got to get banged out here yet tonight, so I can't really have that super long lunch break again. So we know that yesterday the Lions made some moves. We brought in Fireball Tim Patrick and Allen Robinson to the practice squad. We cut some guys down, moved some guys around. Some question marks were had. John Kaminsky was carried over. He was now put on IR, so he'll miss probably the whole season, though he does have the designation to return mid-season. I think there's like a 6 or 7 week window that he can possibly hit, kind of like how Hendon Hooker did last year, where he was on like a PUP list, more or less, with the option to return to the team, back to like active drills and stuff if they were able to clear medical requirements at a certain mark. So that's good news. But what that kind of does is it opens up the lane. I would expect to see guys like Kyle Peko probably get moved up to the active roster. We've been discussing about how we need a little bit more meat in the middle of the defensive line. And I feel that Kyle Peko will fill that void for now, especially if maybe Reeder isn't 100% ready to rock and roll. As far as his conditioning is concerned, I'm not calling him fat. I'm just saying, game speed's a lot different than off-season speed. And, Mekhi Wingo will need a little bit of a rotationary role, someone to bounce off of, play off of, because he's not as big as, say, a DJ Reeder or even a Lee McNeil. And with Broderick Martin being hurt, Kyle Peko should give you that big body to eat and sit in the 1 gap, Wingo can slide around into more of the 3 gap, utilize his leverage and small frame to play some more games with the one-on-one with a guard, as opposed to really attacking that team block there with the guard and center. And that's about it with Kyle Peko. We did, though, yesterday, we seen where C.J. Moore, and I talked briefly about C.J. Moore, was able to be kept on the practice squad, and I thought that was kind of like a Brad Holmes showing his loyalty to guys type deal. C.J. Moore was released today by the Lions, and just about 2 hours ago, we added Eric Hallett, 6th-round pick from the Jacksonville Jaguars a year ago. Spent the entire season on their practice squad last year. I don't know anything about the guy, if I'm being honest. He played at Pitt. From what I was reading, he adds both safety and nickel versatility. So putting that type of we talk about it a lot, how Brad Holmes like these slash players, guys who can play in multiple different roles. You know what I'm saying? He really likes to go after those guys, and having that type of guy in-house, mostly on the practice squad, can give you a more dynamic look throughout the week that will play into his versatility. Am I expecting him to come in and be a contributor? Not at all. Our safety room is actually pretty full. Speaking of the safety room, I did see an article that popped up about for some reason, everyone's hell-bent on the Lions trading for Budda Baker. And although he's a hyper-talented athlete, why send assets that you clearly utilize more so in the draft process, or even players who you've kind of chiseled down your 53-man roster? Why send assets that you've been working with or have plans for in the future to a team to bring in a salary cap hit player like a Budda Baker? I understand that, he's hyper talented. He could be a boon to the defense, but that is a more or less a rental type player, and it would put a talented individual in an already talented and crowded safety room when you look at Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and Ifu Melifonwu, on top of the development of Brendan Joseph and Lawrence Strickland. So I'm not really high on the Budda Baker trade that I've been seeing people kind of blowing smoke about for the past couple of years. But the Eric Hallett signing, removal of C.J. Moore, maybe C.J. Moore was a little bit of a distraction. Again, he spent all of last season on suspension for gambling, so he did have a little bit of baggage with him there. Been with the team for a little bit, though, but C.J. Moore gone, Eric Hallett in. Now let's talk about something that the thumbnail kind of tipped off and gave away. I would really like to see the Lions go after Breeland Speaks and put him on the practice squad, let him develop under Terrence Williams, really hone his skills in. So Breeland Speaks, I'm a huge homer for the Michigan Panthers, right? And Breeland Speaks was the UFL Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, Matthew Betts was the CFL Defensive Player of the Year, and that didn't really translate well. In my opinion, now I don't watch a lot of CFL. I just see the highlights of players that come down from the polar ice caps of the Canadian North to play here in the NFL and eventually generally wash out. I would like to think that the UFL talent pool is greater than that of the CFL talent pool, mostly because you see guys who were drafted into the NFL playing at a high level in the UFL. You know, your Matt Corrals, your Breedland Speaks, your Trey Quinns, you know, that type of stuff. And then you also see guys getting a crack at the NFL from the UFL and producing with that opportunity, i.e. Jake Bates. So that Michigan Panthers to Detroit Lions pipeline could be opened up even more if we were to go after Breedland Speaks. Do I think he could come in and play at the active roster? I mean, any man can come in and play at the active roster. Would he be a contributing member? Probably not. He is a little raw, which is why he was, you know, really dominant in the UFL, because he was able to essentially be, you know, an elite collegiate athlete where your raw talent can still kind of shine through and carry you through. You don't have to be as polished of a player as like an Aiden Hutchinson. But Breedland Speaks, I think, could be a developmental player and a huge asset for the Detroit Lions that could really hone his skills, learn under an Aiden Hutchinson, a Marcus Davenport, Terrence Williams, really get his hooks in him and be able to comb him and cultivate him and groom him into a high-level pass rushing defensive end. He's got good size, good arm length, and he's right here in, you know, well, I mean, he was in Jacksonville last, I believe. But, you know, having him, Michigan Panthers connection to the Detroit Lions would be kind of sick, kind of dope. I liked what he did in the UFL, and I'd like to see him on the practice squad. So Breedland Speaks would be a guy that I would like to see us go after, add to the practice squad, because we are going to open up one of those spots available while activating somebody from the practice squad up to the 53-man roster, because we only have 52 active players right now. We have one more spot, and I would probably see that going to a defensive tackle, Kyle Peko, just to really add a little bit more depth in that rotation in the middle, again, with Broderick Martin being banged up, and who knows the conditioning level of a DJ Reader. So I wouldn't also on the note of bringing in players to help development, not so much for the player to develop, but to have him help develop a player on roster. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Greg Joseph kicker come in, you know, guy who's kind of been around for a little bit. Maybe he doesn't have the opportunity, or is, you know, was given an opportunity and then lost it. I think he could help develop Jake Bates, specifically on his accuracy. Obviously, we know he's got the leg that can get it there, no problem, but a little bit of veteran leadership could go a long way, I think, for Jake Bates and his continued development, and the ballad of Jake Bates continuing on here in the great state of Michigan. So, yeah, we're going to wrap it up. That's been, I know it's a little bit shorter than normal. Not a whole lot to talk about. Again, been kind of busy with work stuff, so I didn't really have a lot of time to research this. I was actually kind of thinking about just working through my lunch break, but that's probably going to be it. Sorry it was so short. So, if you're watching this afterwards, like, comment, subscribe down below if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, stay out of trouble. Keep your sticker on the ice. If it doesn't find you handsome, at least you find you handy. That's going to be it for me. I've been an attentive audience. You've been the Hat and Beard Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Frig off.